Hey everybody, hope everyone had a happy new year and things are going well. This video was supposed to come out last week, but the design took me way longer than I thought it would to get it perfect, and it became something I knew I wanted to be perfect. So this is a laced sort of side bag, crossbody, whatever you want to call it, but we're incorporating rivets, we're incorporating leather washers, and a lot of the time when I do lace projects, people are like, well, I don't want the knots and I don't know how to do the folding. Well, we're going to fix that with rivets today. Now, I'm going to be using Buckle-Guy's new rivet press, but you can do this by hand as well. They sell the hand setter with the same exact die set that I'm using. So just remember that. And then we'll probably also do a couple things by hand as well. First thing, the pattern is on the website. I already have it cut out because you don't need to see me put a pattern together. This is the only one you're going to need to print on two pieces and put together, but it has lines to show you how to do that. Second thing is this little guy. I'm going to show you how to cut him out really easily. All I'm going to do is grab a 3/4 inch punch. These are all 3/4 inches. So all these curves. One, and we're going to do this with the leather piece too. So you get perfect every time, even though it might go flying across the room. So this is a pulp-based fabric that Buckle-Guy sells. I believe it's called Corter. And all we're going to do is we're going to size it so that our rivet, this is where the D-ring is going to go. We just want the rivet to go through this, and this is going to basically prevent stretch over time. That's all. But it's easier to put on now, and then we punch through it, than it is to punch and then put it on and punch again. So once we have all of our pieces cut out, I went ahead and burnished everything. Now we're going to get our D-rings, which will be the attachment for our crossbody. We're going to get those done first. How these go together, that's basically it. So we're going to take one part of our rivet, put it through one side, take a cap, and put it on the other. Now it's not done, but that's what it's going to look like. The strap cutter, I just have it set to 1/4 inch. The blade is not sharp at all, but hopefully we'll be able to cut enough. Nope. So I'm not going to spend time replacing blades. If you don't have a strap cutter, I'm going to show you how to cut your own 1/4 inch lace, especially in a small run like this. I'm going to use my cutting board. The thing I like about using the grid on your cutting board and using 1 1/4 inch wide, which most metal rulers are, is that if I line this ruler up with the front, that's a 1/2 inch. But if I line it up with the back there, that's a 1/4 inch. So I'm out of strap cutter blades, and I need 1/4 inch lace. That'll be our second 1/4 inch. And I'm going to cut a bunch of these, and obviously since this is hand done, we'll pick the ones that are the most even. We're going to take these and we're going to put them in a cup of water because we want this lace to be soaking wet when we lace up our bag. That way when it dries, it's like we're wet molding it. And you could take all these rivets out and the bag would stay put together. Pull the D-ring away from you, just slightly. And we have what will become our bag attachments. The next thing we need to do is punch out some leather washers. Now, I'm going to use the KS Blade Punch washer punch. It's got a nifty punch in a punch. And what happens is this has 2 O-rings on it, and you make yourself some perfect washers. Now, if you don't have that, you can just use a 1/2 inch punch the outer ring, and then a smaller punch on the inside, and make yourself washers. I've been doing it that way for years until I got this tool last year. So we have our lace soaking, and we need 2 pieces of it. That should be plenty of time. We're gonna make 2 cuts and angle them. The only reason we're gonna do that is because it makes it way easier to lace the bag. Doesn't matter which way you go, just be careful because you're cutting the wet leather. Next, it's time for the body. Now, I didn't punch 2 holes on the body for one specific reason, and that was to show you how to do it. What we're doing is, because we're going to have 2 pieces of lace, I'm going to punch once, then I'm going to go almost like the Olympic rings. I'm going to go about halfway, or a Venn diagram, and I'm going to punch again. We're going to do that on both sides. Just take our lace and put one end through facing towards one side of the bag and one end through facing the other side of the bag. Like that. Then we're going to flip this over and we're going to hammer this down because remember these are wet, so we're kind of wet molding them nice and flat. This gusset is going to be on the inside and cover pretty much everything, but what I like to do is go back and cut it flat. Now, I'm not cutting leather with scissors gives me that weird feeling that some people feel when they have like wood or cotton balls in their mouth. It doesn't feel right, but in this piece, it works. So we're going to take all of this now. This is one side of the assembly. Flip it over. That's what it looks like. We're going to take one of our long rivets. These are, I don't know the post length, but they're really long ones. Now remember, since I don't have, I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but I'm mismatching the caps because I want the whole outside to be brass, but I don't have brass this long. I'm going to use my cutting board, the lines, to make sure everything is nice and straight. And then I'm going to take a brass cap. Oh no, then I'm going to take a washer and put that on. Now we're using that washer because we can easily overpress this, and this rivet will just literally cut these pieces off. So these washers are needed. They also create a bag foot. The rivet will hit the ground before anything else does on this bag should it be put on the ground. And here we go. We have the start of our bag. Now it's lacing time. So we're going to take the other side and cut some edges or some points, and that'll just allow us to get our lace through our holes super easy. And since I think there's only like 8 or 9 holes on each side, there'll be no problem at all. It's also really nice because so you have the tails are totally hidden and hammered down. So when this is together, it's going to be nice and smooth and really nice to look at on the inside. The reason I say use a tumbled leather is because you do want some soft sort of pliability to this, because we are going to have to take a little bit of a curve. It's not particularly normal in this style. Well, I guess it is kind of. And if it seems like the holes aren't lined up, just trust the process, because we're going to hammer all this down as well and almost beat it into place, to be honest with you. But the thing is, usually when we lace bags, we want to pull them as tight as we can. But you see here, if we do that, we get this bump, and we don't want that bump. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back off on my lace here on this hole, and I want this to be nice and flat. From the inside, really give them a good whack. That'll flatten the outside. Now all that dark stuff, well, those dark marks will go away. That's just the water. We just really want to make sure we get this wet molded lace locked in. Now you can see how we have a nice flat edge here. nice flat edge. So when we take this corner with our next piece of lace, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to make sure we don't go too tight on this first piece, or these first two holes. And we're going to kind of round that corner and be gentle on it. Leave almost a little bit of wiggle room. Not extra lace, just don't pull it too tight. So that way when we go to hammer it, you have a little smushing, you have a little room to smush. Now, this is something that I like to do, I've talked about. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. We're going to take 2 regular size snaps, and this is just a little 6-inch long piece of leather that I used. I put some nice English point ends on them, and this is going to be my bag loop, so if someone wants to hang this, they can. Now this is all in the pattern. This is an 1.5-inch slot punch and just 2 regular punches. I want this to sit right where the tails poke out, just as a little detail. So I don't have my all around, so I'm just going to put that one there. I cut these a little bit under 3/4 of an inch, just to give myself some wiggle room. But I want the holes, I want the leather itself to be all to the side, as far to the side of the slot punch as possible. And even. If you don't want to use this, you do have to use these 2 rivet holes, because this is what attaches the flap of the bag to the bag body itself. However, I always suggest using it because it's always nice to have a little loop to hang your bag so that it doesn't wear out as fast. The way this is going to assemble, we're going to put our rivet in first, loop your leather around, put that in the slot punch. So these are 2 layers. I would like this as a little design detail on the outside of the bag. Oh, I lost you there. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to kind of sandwich them in between. So then I'll just go through like that and place my other rivet, clip that in. I want to make absolute sure that this lines up with the bag flap. So I'm just going to use more rivets. I'm not going to set them, I'm just using them as holding pins, even on the side that I laced. And this will make sure when we go to put everything together, so there's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle, it'll fit perfect. So that's the look we're going to get. It's going to look really nice. Oh no, I thought I made enough. Wait, no. 1, 2, 3. I should have, where's the other 3? They're right here. In the pile of washers. So washer, really long double cap. We'll trim this after, so you can, I like to have it facing down, but if you want to have it facing to the side or whatever, that's cool too. Slide this guy through here and through here. Now, just when you think we're done, we're going to add, oh, we already added it. Now we're going to bridge this and cap that off, like so. Now you see how that looks? Oh, I even forgot. On the back one, there's even more parts. So we have a rivet with a washer. That's going to go in. Then we're also capturing, now you can choose, you can have your outer flap over your D-ring or under your D-ring. I prefer it under the D-ring because then it lets the D-ring swing freely when it's in use. And then this is why we need really long rivets. But this is what you're going to end up like. Now let's go to the rivet press and get this thing set. So the big thing is I have the hook press out for this. This gap in between here, if this gap is too narrow, like we're sandwiching everything, we're going to just snap everything in here. So what you want to do is go little by little. I have this set to a point where, also hold the bag flat. Don't be afraid to muscle around. It's leather, it can handle it. And we're gonna go down a bit and just slowly, and then check on this side and see right here. We can look in there and we can feel it, or this one. Is it moving? Is it secure? Do we want to go a little bit tighter? I think I want a little bit more, but not too much. There we go. That's perfect. You see how this is just popping out just a tiny bit? That's what we want. So that means that we need to go up a little bit because we know that this side has an extra layer, which means that we have an extra couple of millimeters that we don't need to set. So again, I'm going to go slow. I'm going to check it. Honestly, I could probably leave it right there. But I do want... I'm going to be really conservative on this one. There we go. I just want that final click. Okay, so on my flap, I have... Nope. Where's the other piece? The thin piece, the outie piece, is going to go through this little tab that I made, which is then going to go through the flap, like that. And then on this side, I'm just trying to come up with creative ways to show you how to set rivets over and over and over again in this video. I'm sorry, guys. So you can see on the front, you'll have a little pull tab. Just as a little detail. You don't have to add that. You don't even do it this way. This is just what I'm going to do. So again, more rivet press. And now most importantly, you want to be able to set your innie part, because once we get this laced up, it's going to be really hard to get a machine in there. So this is how you can kind of see it. It's going to look. Clicks in nicely. There we go. Oop. There we go. So now I have a little thing that you can grab and it fits perfect. I'm going to lace up this side and show you the finished product. There we go. Now, last thing, we're going to fold these two down. I'm going to do these one at a time here. I don't know if you can even see. Oh, you can see, kind of. Get a nice crisp edge on those so they stay where we want them to. And then we rivet this side the same way we riveted that side. And here we go. I liked it so much I had to take time to make a strap for it. So this is a new one-piece nylon strap that I have been making. I'll make a video showing you how to do it, but I didn't really come up with it. But I figured we should make a guitar strap out of with nylon leather. That might be cool. Meanwhile, here's the bag. You have the D-rings. You can see they kind of, when you're putting it together, you can always just bend the leather down, but the strap itself, or the flap itself, is wider than the actual bag on the inside, so that if it rains or anything like that, there's a spill. Hopefully, the overhang prevents anything from getting in the bag. We open the bag up, and this is where you see where all of the contouring, all of the hiding, the lace, that's where it really shines. You just have one really clean interior with a few rivets. 18mm magnetic snap. It's much easier to do when there's something in it, but you just kind of slide it down and it goes into place like that. These bags obviously need to be broken in, but we've gotten it to the point now where I would expect it to break in really, really nicely. On the back, I just tried to do my best to make it economical to make, so you have small pieces on the sides. The wraparound front is, I think maybe, hold on, I can tell you, it's right here. It's a foot. by 8.5 inches. So less than 2 square feet of leather makes this bag. So that means it's ultra profitable as far as materials are concerned. As far as time is concerned, once you have all the pieces printed out or cut out, it takes about 45 minutes to make. Plenty of room for tooling. On the back, I just tried to make it as pretty as I could. You obviously don't have to put in the bag loop, but then just don't punch the slot punch. But you do have to install these 2 rivets that the flap stays on. The flap, I would go for the outside. It really is holding it. I made a couple samples with the flap over the D-ring attachments, and this is definitely the way to go in my opinion. And like I said, throw a nylon strap on there and you're able to keep the price down. The other thing is, when you have a bag that is a neutral color, people will be able to accessorize by getting multiple nylon straps. So you can have all sorts of colors and patterns of nylon straps, and people can change up the look from kind of more of a, well, these days, almost red carpet look, to going to the beach, just with the change of a strap, and it means you'll have repeat business. A little bit of leather at the ends. I'll make a whole video on it. There is a whole video on a 2-piece nylon strap if you want to go back in the channel, make one of those. But these are use a little bit heavier duty hardware, but take a lot less time to make. So you can choose there. But I do love mixing the nylon with the leather and the brass. You have to mix materials and textures to get a really luxurious feel. And when you do this with the strap, but mostly the bag, with the rivets and the brass, of course this is all solid brass, it just really looks lovely. So the pattern is in the description. The materials are also in the description. This is all buckle guy hardware. Highly suggest it. It's all solid brass. I'm assuming the magnet can't be solid brass, but whatever can be brass is brass. They'll have the low profile D-rings, which I would suggest for this bag. These pretty little swivel snaps, which are perfect at 3/4 of an inch to go up to a 1-inch nylon. And yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.